Good morning, and it's Brad Langille here from GoGold, and we're here this morning talking about our PEA that was just released this morning on Las Ricos North. And for those of you who don't know, GoGold is a producer plus a developer in Mexico, and with our flagship project, the Los Ricos project, North and South, and we have a lot of real big catalysts this year, and want to get into talking about that.
Well, Brad, lovely to see you again. Been a while since we saw you back in October. Funny old markets at the moment. I think gold's crept up, silver's crept up above 24 today after the dizzy heights of 25 for so long. Look, let's kick off with the PEA, but there's a bunch of stuff I want to cover with you with regards to obviously what you've been up to, but more importantly, what's happening in Mexico. So, if you don't mind, give us those headline numbers on the PEA for Los Ricos North, please.
Yeah, for sure. And just for those viewers who don't know, it's our Los Ricos project is the southern project, and the north project spans over about 35 kilometers. This current PEA is up here in Las Ricos North, and that's really, it's the PEA that's coming out first. There will be another one, looks like July in Las Ricos South, and but Las Ricos South will be built first, and Las Ricos North will form the pipeline after the construction of Las Ricos South. So highlights of the PEA for Las Ricos North. A 5% discount, $413 million US after tax at 29% IRR. Good economics. 3/4 of the material that will be processed are oxides in a mill at 8,000 tons a day. At year 8, we add a flotation circuit to that mill, and we process our El Arito pit, which is all sulfide. So that comes in year 8. We have $137 million, $221 million initial sustaining capital, another $137 million expansion, and another $5 million sustaining capital as well. And sustaining is just mostly tailings pond expansion, and the 137 is building the flotation circuit and road expansion and pre-stripping as we move along in the mine. And $9.68 all-in sustaining. So really first quartile cost, 8.8 million ounces a year of silver equivalent production for 13 years.
Okay, solid. So nice solid additional PEA, and you can update the Los Ricos South PEA as well. Right. I want to talk about what's been happening in the last, and we'll come back to some of these PEA numbers, because I'm trying to understand what you've described in the past as one of the best projects you've worked on and seen. Your mind builder of your track record suggests your mind builder, and have seen a few things. So the market's been tough. We've had inflationary environment. We have supply chain issues. We have cost rising. Very few people want to put out economic studies, it seems, because they're getting blown out of the water. You yourself have readjusted your view of open pit versus underground. So talk me through some of the decision making of the last, say, 6 months or 12 months in terms of how you come at Los Ricos as a whole.
Yeah, okay. If we just back up for a second and we think of March 2019, we enter this district. I think there's about 60 drill holes in the whole district by others. And since then, we've done 250,000 meters of drilling. We've built a lot of resources. We started at 0, and now we're at all categories, so 242 million ounces of silver equivalent, and soon to grow with our Eagle Zone in Las Ricos South. View, though, what we've noticed as we moved along here is, at first, we put out the kilos and the kilos of silver equivalent, and 55 meters of 2.7 kilos. We just put out a month and a half ago, and there's almost no reaction. And I think what the market is telling us, and I think it's telling a lot of juniors, we're at a point in the market where, especially for us in Las Ricos, where we put out so many good results, our investors are saying, look, what's next? What's the roadmap to production here, to cash flow, development cash flow? And because if you look at the market right now, I would have thought that we'd have these commodity prices and the junior explorers suffering so much, in the stock price. Whereas if you're a producer today, obviously you're benefiting from that. So that's the progression of GoGold. We have a lot more defined in the Los Ricos district, but we have a lot of ounces that we can build on now, build plants around and build mines around, and get us to be a larger producer than we are today. And remembering, we have been a small producer for the last 9 years at our Pearl project, about 2 million ounces a year. So 2023 is the year of studies, permitting. 2024 is the year of building. And I have this slide up here because at the first of the year, we set out these milestones and we're just ticking them off as we go through the year. And hey, we're a couple of weeks late on Las Ricos North, but not bad. We said around the end of April, so we got that one done. Now the next one is down there at Las Ricos South and our newly acquired Eagle Zone next to our main zone, where we already had our PEA of 295 million NPV. So that one's going to be updated here June, July, right in there. And that's probably even going to be a lot more significant than Las Ricos North. There's going to be some really, really strong, as good as this one is today, there's going to be some much better, strong economics coming out of that. And a PFS on Las Ricos South before the end of the year. And we've applied for permit. Our permit is in the process. And it seems to be moving very favorably through the process. So we're hoping by the end of the year we'll have that permit in hand, and we enter 2024 with more than 900 million NPV and be building Las Ricos South, and that's about a 12-month build for a 1,500 ton a day mill in a bulk underground.
Okay, so I'll back you up there. I think the retail interest in exploration stories and kind of cash destruction, I think people are viewing it as, rather than growth capital, bizarrely. I agree with you there. Move to being a producer is what people want. People want to move towards this kind of cash flow. The other thing they're looking for is companies with cash at the moment. You've done a raise earlier this year. You have raised at points in the market where at the time I think you perhaps get a little bit of stick for it. But how much cash have you got at the moment? Sorry,
just over 100 million US cash in the bank, and no.
Okay,
yeah, and
okay. So you got cash. You're moving through to production. So this should be music to your current shareholders' ears, really. But there's something missing here, and it seems to be news out of Mexico. Mexican government sending quite confusing messages to the market with regards to their view of miners. Are they pro-mining?
Mexico is pro-mining, and there's a big misconception out there. And, for sure, politicians speak to their base, and maybe there's a bit of that that's been going on. But, there's a lot of good things that have come out of this government in Mexico as well. They've done a lot of good things for the poor in Mexico and the pensioners, and really they're not negative on mining, and they came out with a new mining law that was a little harsh, and it needed liaison between industry and government to land where they landed, and where they landed really doesn't impact us at all. In fact, we believe that it's going to help the process. On our board, we're very fortunate to have Karen Flores. She is the CEO of the Mining Chamber of Commerce in Mexico, federally. So she is very, very involved in the industry government negotiations and coming up with a very workable law. This law has passed. Now the regulation will be 180 days for them to publish regulation. Typical in like in the world, like Canada. The law passes, and then you put the adaptation of the regulation. But what we think and what we're hearing is that this law, pending being passed, was holding up a lot of permitting because they want to get this law passed beforehand. And now what we're hearing is permitting is really going to start to move again. So that's good news to us. There's nothing in this law that we view as negative to GoGold.
Right. So, as far as you're concerned, okay, no impact on your ability to do business there.
No.
It may help on the permitting front. You've got money to kind of go through the phases this year, but at some point, if you're going to be moving towards a PFS at the end of this year, you're going to build off the back of a PFS?
Yeah, we will build on a PFS and a front-end engineering design. That doesn't mean we're going to cut any corners. What it means is we'll look at Las Ricos South and we'll say, okay, what are the highest risk areas of this? And those will be a feasibility study. Those will be all the way. It's just that we have $100 million US cash in the bank. Maybe we'll add on an extra debt facility of 40-50 just for extra liquidity, but we're thinking something around $100 million just the capex down there for that first phase, 1,500 ton a day mill bulk underground mine. So with all that cash, we have lots of people kind of beating down our door to give us that debt component, which is, I think they're going to view as pretty low risk, even building off a pre-feasibility study. So yeah, that's our plan to go forward.
Right, and in terms of, I've seen a few stories going out with regards to your view on open pit versus underground now, and how you kind of block model all of that. Again, what's changed your mind? What have you seen?
Well, in Las Ricos South, the big thing that has changed our mind is that the Eagle is a great deposit for an underground bulk mine. It's a lot of ounces per vertical meter, and that's what you want in underground mining. So not a lot of development for the ounces. They're pretty compact in, one kind of nice high grade area, about 450 meters long, about 200 meters high. And on average should be the average stoping we would think would be around 15 meters. And the grade in there probably, in the 350 to 500 gram silver equivalent over those kind of widths. So it's a really beautiful place to start. We believe it's going to make a lot of money. And it's going to be the catalyst to develop the whole district. Now, will there be a smaller open pit in Las Ricos South later in the mine life? We're going through that trade-off now and looking at that now, and potentially yes. The original larger pit there and the larger mill, it's just that we've done another 100 holes in the main zone. We've done a lot more engineering, and we just think, as far as ESG, environmental impact, social, we think we can do something better there that will give us same economics. And that $295 million, I feel very confident in saying that's going to change a lot in a very positive way. So we'll have that out to market there in July, and I think everybody is going to be really excited what we have there, and knowing that it's not far from going into construction and production.
Right. So in terms of what that obviously there's a PEA, updated PEA coming, and a PFS. What additional information do you need to get, either through additional drilling to tell you where to start? Because you're going to have to go for the highest grade stuff first, presumably. That changes the kind of the
NPV. Yeah.
Right. So what do you need to get a hold of between now and the end of this year when you present the PFS to market in terms of additional data?
Yeah, a lot of that additional work, really, because our metallurgy was already at pre-feasibility level, but we've even taken it beyond that. We've done a bunch more optimization on the metallurgy, and I think it will result in actually better than the numbers that we published before. So we should have news on that soon on the metallurgy, and so that's really good, because what we had published before was about 90% silver equivalent recoverable, and I think we're going to be able to improve on that. Also, the thing that we're doing right now is a big geotechnical program with Golder, and that'll probably be the biggest part that'll separate this PEA that we're going to publish, which will be a very high level PEA. like it's, getting close to a PFS. But that geotechnical work that we're doing over the coming months and more geotechnical drilling, that'll frame it all up. Plus some trade-off studies, around how big that, future pit should be, or should it all be underground? That kind of stuff we'll be doing, even before the PEA, but mostly geotechnical between the PEA and the pre-feas.
Okay, and in terms of giving your experience of being a mine builder in the past, we've talked about it ad nauseum on that front. Moving from the open pit to the underground, and yes, you've got to go for the higher grade stuff initially. Have you got a sense of the scale of the mineable tons that you're going to be looking for, and what grade cutoff you're going to be looking for to get things going? I get the optionality of maybe an open pit at some later date for the lower grade stuff, but have you got a sense of how you want to build it? Will that be revealed in the PEA, the updated PEA on Los Ricos South, or are you going to wait till the PFS before you're kind of able to talk about that?
The PEA will have all of that.
Okay,
like I said, it'll be a very high level PEA, and grade for this underground, grade is not an issue at all. We have great grade. I mean, you've probably been following some of the drill holes, and I mean, they've been exceptional. We've had holes up to 55 meters at 2.7 kilos. So grade is absolutely not an issue. Our grade is very similar to some of our other peers who are mining ore bodies at a meter wide, where we're mining those kind of grades, or we hope to be, or we will be mining those kind of grades at average widths around 15 meters wide. And that makes all the difference in the world in economics. If you're talking, say, a grade of 400, 500 grams in a meter wide, you can make good money at that. But, you got a lot of development work, because that's a lot of stopes you have to be operating at the same time to feed a 1,500 ton a day mill. Whereas, maybe it'd be like 30 stopes. Whereas what we see is a thing called sub-level long hole mining, where we're mining these wide widths at those great grades. It's one of the cheapest mining methods, in-stope mining methods. And the biggest thing is we can produce so much tonnage at these grades that, maybe we might have 3 stopes running at any one time. Massive difference in the amount of development we have to do to access.
Right. Okay. It's interesting. And if I look at, obviously, the kind of reaction to the market, being agile and changing strategy to take advantage of the current sentiment in the marketplace. So you're not getting to production is great. That's a new focus. Getting to production sooner, I should say, is a new focus. The exploration stuff, that's still there in the background. That you can come back to that at any time. That's the stuff that's going to allow you to extend the life of mine in the future, and obviously, optionality around the way that you access that. Or are there any other kind of things that you have had to change or address in terms of how you approach the joining up of these two? Because you've got Los Ricos South. We've talked in the past about Los Ricos North, perhaps being able to kind of feed into wherever you place that mill, and create something which is substantial in terms of size. I mean, how's that kind of big plan adjusted?
Yeah, well, on the bigger plan, and you're right. We've made that decision to move on to production, and that goes back to what mining is to us and what exploration, development, and mining is to us. We're here building a business. Now we're at the phase where we're going to build that next part of the business. We've found the resources. We'll be publishing the reserves and the engineering, and we're going to continue to build our business, which we feel will be a very, very lucrative mining operation. But yes, look, for example, Las Ricos North. See I don't know if you can see them or not. There's some hammers there, and that comes from an old map. And these are all prospects or mines that we knew about and we're exploring. And we focus, for example, our efforts in Los Ricos North right there. We haven't even explored up here at all. So, and then you look in Las Ricos South, and all our efforts have been in this stretch here, and we have the Eagle, which were big win for us. But there's almost a mini district up here in a place called El Norco. San Pedro El Melco. So, that's more to explore, but we've got enough to build mines that are 10 plus years and that are going to make a lot of money. And that's what we're focused on for the next step. I believe there will be mining in the Los Ricos district for generations. There's that much to find. But right now it's the focus to advance it to making money and making lots of money here.
I mean, now you're looking at your new plan. Are you kind of grateful in a way that the market's made you segue to this? Because the standard Canadian thing is drill, drill, drill until we've defined a massive resource. I'm just wondering, is this actually fortuitous for you and your plans to build this mine by bringing things forward, as it were? Or would you rather have been drilling?
I'm a geologist by education. I love exploration. I love the treasure hunt. That's a lot of very rewarding. But again, it's these are businesses, and we also like building mines. We've been an operator for the last 9 years. Very early in GoGold's life, we built our first mine. Not a giant mine. It's a great environmental tailings retreatment that we do, and make some money at that. But no, I think we're very happy to be entering this phase and with such a great asset, and start adding, spend the capital, get a great return on capital, add money to the bank account, and that's what a business is. And mining companies are exploration, development, build. We're a business, and not just a promotion of a stock. We have to tell our story. We've got to market what we're doing, but ultimately, you build a good business and it makes a lot of cash, and it returns to the shareholders. We'll get rewarded on that. Now the shareholder looking at us and our share price should say, "Hey, we know those guys. They built mines before. They know what they're doing. They've been in Mexico 27 years. We'll take on the execution risks there, because there's a big gain over the next 24 months, because we will execute and we will deliver on this, as we've said. And that's a big reward. It's the time to get in."
I know, but well, it is the time to get in. I think it totally is the time to get in, because it's a different business. The one that you had before, your model before, was selling the hopes and dreams of the scale of the opportunity in the future. This is now moving into building a business, building a mine, which generates cash, and you've got to put everything on the table in a way that I think explorers aren't really able to at the moment. In a way which I think traditionally, Canadian developers, take a long time getting around to, and I guess people are going to see, the cut of your jib, as it were, with regards to how you go about delivering that in a very short time frame. So, I, for one, will be watching very closely. And Brad, I appreciate you coming on. You're far too long in between visits to us, and we've got a big crowd of people here kind of keen to see how you fare over the next 12 months. So we'll see you soon, okay?
Yes, and great to be on, and great to talk to you and your audience again. And just remember this slide. We're very happy with the results of Las Ricos North, as anticipated. And I'll tell you, this is going to be very exciting, Las Ricos South, and we're looking to have that in July, that PEA update. So that'll be exciting for everybody, and we're moving ahead rapidly to get this into production.